Okay, so real quickly, I wanted to go over the answers for the science test. I know I can see in my video here it's a little bit far away for you to be able to see everything exactly. But for the online students, I went over this in class today, but I failed to record myself doing so. So this might be a little bit easier for you anyway. On the upper part here, the matching. If you missed any of these here and you're not sure why, okay, so your pod should look exactly like mine does here. Okay. For the matching questions, if you missed any of the definitions and you're not sure why, all of those answers are in your notes. You can go and look at those there. Down here for rotation and revolution, you had a very similar section on your pod as well. Number 13, when an object turns or spins around, that is rotation. To go around something else is revolution. The Earth makes one of these around the sun once a year, is the revolution. The reason we have 4 different seasons is also revolution. Rotation is what causes day and night, but revolution causes the seasons. The Earth makes one of these every 24 hours, that is rotation. The reason we have day and night is rotation. The Earth does this counterclockwise, causing the sun to rise in the east, that's also rotation. And the Earth does this on its axis, that is also rotation. Okay, so just to reiterate, the exact same questions that are on this paper copy of the test were inputted into your pod, just in a little bit different format. So exact same questions and answers. Shadows are cast by what kind of objects? The answer is opaque. What direction does the sun rise in? It rises in the east and sets in the west. Shadows are the longest at morning and evening. If you gave me late afternoon or something similar to that, I probably gave you credit for it. However, if you put something like night, that would be wrong because there are no shadows at night because the sun's not out. Shadows are the shortest at noon or midday or 12 o'clock p.m. That's all the same thing. And then what time of day is shown in the following picture? Again, afternoon, evening, late afternoon. If you told me noon or midday, I did not give you credit for it because at noon the sun would be right overhead and the shadows would be much shorter. For number 7, this one was kind of tough for some people. The following shows the students walking down The following picture shows students walking down a path on a winter morning. You are looking at their backs. Write a letter in the boxes to indicate which direction the students are facing, then go back and fill in the boxes to show the other directions. So, because we know it's a winter morning, okay, where is the sun in the morning? Well, it's going to rise in the east. According to the picture, the shadows are behind the students, so the sun must be in front of them. That means the direction they are facing must be east, because the sun's going to be in the east in the morning. Opposite of east is west. And then if you look at a compass rose, like what I have here, to the left of east is always north. So down here, to the left of east is north, and opposite of that is south. So you'll always have never eat soggy waffles. Okay? Or north, east, south, west. That's how I remember anyway. On the next side, the 3 properties of air. Based on the syringe investigation, that was where we determined that air, trying to get this proper here, that air is matter, meaning that it has mass and takes up space. And because it is matter, that means we can compress it or squeeze it together. If you gave me condensed, I also gave you that as well. And when we do that, it creates pressure. Okay, those are the 3 properties of air: pressure, matter, and compress or condensed. The sun is what drives the water cycle or causes it to happen. Gravity is the force that contributes to the water cycle. Remember, a force is a push or pull. So gravity kind of helps pull the water down from the clouds and the water down the hills. How does water vapor get into the air? I was hoping for more of a detailed answer, such as the sun heats up the water molecules, causing them to vibrate and eventually move fast enough to break free from the liquid. But if you just gave me evaporation, technically that is correct. So I gave that to you. Air consists of which 2 gases? 78% nitrogen and 21% oxygen. Most of Earth's water is salt water. The 3 repeating processes that contribute to the water cycle is evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. And then layers of the atmosphere. The thermosphere is the biggest layer. The weather occurs in the troposphere. Weather balloons gather information in the stratosphere. And meteors burn up in the mesosphere. And then someone who studies weather, I gave you credit for either climatologist or meteorologist. Either one of those would work. For the modified true and false, okay? I told you the best way to read these questions is to pretend like this is a blank right here. So, a blank measures air pressure. The answer there should be barometer, but that's not what I have, so the answer you should have typed in would have been barometer. A blank measures humidity. The answer is hygrometer, but I'm given anemometer, so I need to write hygrometer off to the side. Blank is the distance one can see at ground level, that is visibility, so that's true. A blank measures wind speed. The answer should be anemometer. That would be incorrect, so I wrote in the right answer. Precipitation is how much it has rained or snowed. That answer is true. I had a couple people give me the full definition of precipitation. So they typed in rain, snow, sleet, or hail falling to the Earth's surface. And because I know what you were thinking, I went ahead and gave you credit for it. It should be true. Just remember that whatever you typed in is what would go in that blank. So if you wrote in that long answer, what you're saying is rain, snow, sleet, or hail falling to the Earth's surface is how much it has rained or snowed. Okay? Someone who studies weather is a blank. The answer there is meteorologist or climatologist. Blank is the direction from which the wind is blowing. The answer there should be wind direction, so that's true. And then on to the last couple sections. For this, a natural satellite, the answer was moon. Makes its own light, the answer is sun. The only place known to have life, the answer is Earth. The third planet from the sun, the answer is Earth. Surface temperature is about 5,500 degrees Celsius. The answer is sun. Revolves once every 27.3 days. That is the moon. I had a couple people give me Earth. Revolves means to go around. If we revolved every 28 days, our whole year would only be 28 days long. The moon, however, does revolve around the Earth one time about every 28 days. And then rotates on its axis every 24 hours. That would be Earth. Okay, for the essay questions, just so you know, these are the markings I generally use in the in-person class. If I'm grading your actual paper, a dot with a circle, that means you forgot a period. You do get a point off for that. However, with the online students, I was a little more lenient because I know you're trying to work with a keyboard. So I didn't take off points this time, but I may in the future. If you see 3 underlines under any of my writing, that means to capitalize the first letter. And then NCS stands for not complete sentence. Okay, so if you gave me something like, for example, for 35, what causes day and night on Earth? If you gave me the rotation of Earth, and that was all you wrote, that would get an NCS signal, meaning it's not a complete sentence. The Earth's rotation is what? Okay, so those are kind of the keys that I use there, but each of these essay questions were worth 3 points. The difference between rotation and revolution. Rotation is when an object turns or spins around. Revolution is when that object travels around something else. How is weather different from climate? Weather is what is happening right now in an area, the conditions of the atmosphere at a certain time and place. While climate is what's usually expected, or the weather data based off of 30 years, the weather based off of 30 years of data, what you would typically expect. What causes day and night on Earth? The rotation of the Earth spinning causes day and night on Earth. And then 36, how do the sun and ocean interact in the water cycle? I was pretty lenient with this, both with the online test and the in-person paper test, but the sun is what heats up the water, causing evaporation, which kicks off the water cycle. Okay, so each of those are worth 3 points. If you got part of it correct, you may see that you got 1 of the 3 points, or maybe even 2 of the 3 points. If you got half of it right, I give you 1.5 points, since that's a half of 3, etc. And then for the multiple choice, the application question. A student weighs a small wet sponge. It has a mass of 38 grams. He leaves the sponge on the balance with no lid on the cup. The next day, the mass of the same sponge is only 22 grams. The mass is less the next day because B. Some of the water had evaporated into the air, so the sponge had dried out a little bit, causing it to weigh a little bit less. Then for the bonus, if you emailed me separately with this order of the planets or messaged me on Jupiter separately, I gave you 3 percentage points. So the order was Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Okay. So what I did, and I explained this in class as well, the whole test was worth 75 points. So I calculated your grade with however many you missed. And then once I figured out your grade, I added 3 percentage points. So if based on your score you got an 85, in the comments section of your test pod on Jupiter, I put plus 3 bonus points, and I would have changed that to an 88%. Okay, if you scored maybe a 72, the 3 bonus points would put you to a 75. Okay, so that all that is to say is that the bonus questions are not worth 3 points, like for example, it doesn't replace one of these questions, but it does bump up your percentage points quite a bit, or it can at least. Okay, so go ahead and review your answers on Jupiter. I have changed the setting to where you can see what you missed and what the answers should have been. If you still have questions about what you missed or why you missed it, let me know. Otherwise, we're going to move on to the vocab for today.